Trey wanted me to give a speech of me like shitting on Snapchat for like 5 minutes, but I'm going to talk about something a lot more serious, which is there's a big gap between how most businesses in the world run right now and how they could be running. And before I explain that in more detail, I'm going to give like a brief background about the history of Silicon Valley. So there's been about 5 waves of technology companies in Silicon Valley. The first one was Hewlett-Packard creating electronic tools like the radio, and that was like a thing for a while. Then the transistor was invented, and then we had Shockley, Fairchild, basically all these semiconductor companies, and that was also another thing. And then the personal computer came around, and then we have Oracle and these companies that are creating enterprise software to kind of enable these computers to run. And then we had the dot-com boom and bubble afterwards, where everyone's like trying to create the next like big thing, big startup. And that was like all about enabling the internet. So currently we're in the 5th wave of technology companies, which is the consumer wave, and that's like Google, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, like things like that. And while they've been creating a lot of value to our society right now, I argue that a lot of the value in the current industry has already been captured by the platforms that exist right now. And then this leads me to the 6th wave, the coming wave of companies that's going to come, and that's called smart enterprise. So basically there's these massive industries such as like government, healthcare, finance, energy, industrials, logistics, transportation. Like these industries are run by these veterans who are like in their 50s and 60s who don't really know how to use new technology. They're doing a bad job of it. And all of a sudden there's like all these new ways of doing things because we have a lot more data. Like everyone right now has a smartphone in their pocket. There's like all these cheap sensors around, except that they don't know how to leverage these tools to make sure their companies are running efficiently. So let me give you like a couple of examples. So like in finance, for example, the finance industry employs millions of analysts just to do like basic grunt work, which is basically going through pages of PDF documents and like manually transferring the numbers into an Excel spreadsheet. And like occasionally one analyst mistypes like $1,000 for $1 million and then they get fired or something. But like basically like this is done, it's been going on since the 1970s and 80s, and that's like how our technology is right now in these old industries. And all of a sudden we can be using like automation to like fix this brute force work so that analysts aren't just typing in numbers, they're like looking at the numbers and deciding what we should do with them. Like another example in government. So like for example, if a mayor wants to know how much we're spending in like pensions for our police department, they would have to employ a consultant, would have to look through pages of documents and like submit a report to the mayor, and that would take like a couple of days, maybe even weeks. But if we create an open platform for that, such as what OpenGov is doing right now, then like the mayor can know that in like 30 seconds and then decide, okay, so we have the data right now, what can we do with the data and how can we be more efficient? And this is where the new wave of innovation is coming. So this is like kind of thing that's coming up right now. And I also argue that like right now a lot of talent is being wasted, especially in the Valley, where people are competing against each other to like create the next viral social app. Whereas there's like these massive industries that are untapped by new technologies. They're run by old veterans who are like eventually going to die. So like we're going to have to replace them, and like we're going to have to do things like orders of magnitude better than them. So like it's like almost our duty to look at this new way of doing things and like to be more efficient in how we leverage our technology. And lastly, I also think it's also our duty to like fix our country because like everything's getting more expensive. These industries are like extremely broken, and like we're just massively in debt to the older generation, and like things are gonna get worse, especially if like the current election cycle, if Donald Trump gets elected. So like because of that, we're gonna have to be more efficient with the limited resources we have, and that's why I believe it's important to leverage the technologies we have so that we can be orders of magnitude better than what we're doing right now.